Welcome to the video. Today we'll bring you the last college basketball game ever in NCAA Basketball 10. I'm your host, commentary with Jay. Actually, no, gaming with Jay. And today we'll be talking about NCAA Basketball 10. NCAA Basketball 10 was a game that came out in 2009 on November 18th. This was the last college basketball game ever released uh as of late because of the athletes and likeness lawsuit that took place right after this game came out, which eventually caused the NCAA football 14 series or NCAA football series to go down for a little bit as well. But today we'll be talking about NCAA 10. Uh, how good of a game was it? Was it a classic? Was it overrated or underrated? And was its legacy able to hold up you know, through the test of time because it's been 17 years since this game came out, right around 17 years. So obviously, we're gonna start off with the general consensus around this game. The general consensus around NCAA basketball, the series in general, and these types of games were that these were fun recreations of what you guys would see on a Saturday night, Friday night, ESPN, CBS type of games. Now, reasons why this game wasn't as much popular as the pros, I think came down to a couple of reasons. One, if you were out of the country, you probably don't know a lot about college sports because it's not as worldwide. That would be a big issue. So I would say the globalness of college basketball wasn't as popular as it is now worldwide. Uh, a second issue I think that plagued this game is that it was not well marketed. Um, a lot of times you see with these classic college sports games is that they seemed good, but they weren't pitched enough. Like, I feel like there wasn't a lot of trailers. It would just be like, "Hey, a new college game is coming out. These are the features," not like a whole press one. Um, for example, like College Football 25, I think was one of the better marketed college sports games since it was like the return of college sports. So it got a lot more people involved in it. Um, but anyways, yeah, I think this is a game that's really good. It has issues that we'll get into, but I think this is a game that are really good, and I really think college basketball games deserve to be back in the mainstream. Said, we're going to get straight into the gameplay. The gameplay is the most important part of any football or basketball or any game, really. So the thing about it is that if you're a fan of college sports games, they're usually built off of the pros equivalent engine. So for example, Madden, college football usually shares the same engine as Madden. Um, College Hoops 2K usually shared a similar engine to the NBA 2K games. However, I think where this game ultimately shines in the gameplay aspect is that it was one if not the most fluid games at the time. As I definitely say when it came out, it was the most fluent basketball game on the seventh generation of consoles because you could be able to dribble with the right stick, which wasn't, as popularly known in games. You had the shot stick also, so you could also use the dribble stick and the shot stick at the same time. The post move where you could like click in R3, think was a very good decision. The motion plays and just the overall game felt like I'm playing in college. Now, the things I will say about the gameplay, it's fast paced. If you know how to run a college offense, you're gonna win most games in this game because I don't think the CPU is smart enough to like handle someone that actually knows the in and outs fundamentally of college basketball. Um, the problems in gameplay, because this is a review now. The problems in gameplay that I'd see is A, maybe due to a lack of animation variety, this game kind of gets stale. And not stale in like I won't play it kind of way, but there's only so much you can do coming from a person who's played modern basketball games. There's so much you can do in newer games that you can't really hear, and that's not a fault of the game, that's just how it's aged. But also, I would like to say that the for one, the fouls are way too much called. I think even when you tweak with the sliders, I don't think the engine of the game was simply smart enough to dictate when fouls actually occur or when someone's just in contact with another person. As you can see in the gameplay, the defense is there, the defense is moving, but usually once you get into the paint, it's almost like you have to play completely hands up, otherwise they're gonna call a foul, even with sliders turned down. And the post move variety wasn't there yet, so you will start to see after a little bit of gameplay the same kind of four moves in the paint replaying. Um, I also think that this game suffers from a lack of depth, but in the wrong places. Or I should say, they don't have enough depth in the right places for me to consider this like a great game. Reasons why is that one, they don't have a single player of my career mode. And I understand that my career wasn't as big of a thing is sorry, isn't as big as it is now. But I feel like even then, they probably should have had a career mode or at least a single player mode to create a player and play a college career with him and import it into NBA Live 10. I think that would have been beneficial because just for speaking in general context, playing dynasty mode over and over again at some point is going to get repetitive, and I think this game suffers from that. Even I assume even when the servers were online, I don't think people were running 5 or 6 college basketball games back to back to back. I just don't think that was the market. Again, but another place where this game shines is the presentation. Obviously, the CBS broadcast invokes some nostalgia for the older generation because that's what we grew up like watching college basketball on. So I applaud them for that. Also applaud them for doing the little things right, like having the crowd noise be effective, having the game look vibrant like it's in a college arena, not the dull plastic look it has now. Um Presentation wise, the only thing I think it suffers from is that the the what was I about to say? I think the presentation suffers from it being an older game because the ESPN crew is fine, but the CBS crew does repeat, and I still don't know how they didn't figure this out a while ago. They should be able to record multiple lines from different games instead of recording like a few lines and having them to be used over and over again. Because like if I played one game of the tournament mode in this game, which is another feature, if I played one tournament game, then I would like it. But if I kept playing tournament games strictly, I would hear most of the lines recorded for this game. So with that being said, all in all, I think features get a 7 out of 10. Dynasty mode is in depth. The player development and the lack of actually impacting your players through practice, through drills, like seen in College Hoops 2K8,
causes for me to dock it down points also with no single player mode and no other mode outside of Dynasty and tournaments. I think this game suffers from a lack of overall innovative features. But, however, we're going to also talk about the legacy of this game. Comparatively to its predecessor in NCAA Basketball 9, it's way better, but also it's way less talked about because College Hoops 2K8 kind of, did that like by pulling out that year. So what I would say is that hold up. Comparatively to its older brother, I think College Hoops 2K8 has a better overall legacy because I don't think EA's gameplay in the college basketball games ever got to the point where it stood out as its own thing. Like I had previously mentioned, NBA Live's 10 engine was used in this game as a base. And while NBA Live 10 was probably one of the better NBA Lives in the series, especially for the seventh generation of consoles, NBA Live's gameplay wasn't there yet to the point where I think it would have been like, it would have been a mass improvement for the college games. I just don't think NBA Live should have been used so heavily in these games, especially in the animations. Like, I don't mind the dribbling from the live games, nor did I mention the shooting, because the shooting's pretty realistic to the college games, because not a lot of college players have their own distinct um jump shots. Their technique is different. And I like how in the game you can kind of see that. But my biggest issue with this game and what the overall why I don't think it gets as talked about as, let's say, a College Hoops 2K8 is because I don't think one, the gameplay wasn't there, and I also think the lack of a halftime, or not a halftime show, a lack of Dynasty in-game presentation when it like a halftime show, not a halftime show, a weekly wrap-up show, the recruiting kind of being a little worse than it was in College Hoops 2K8 and in older NCAA March Madness games. Um, I also think a big part of this game suffered from the kind of being the one release that I feel like was the shift in video games, because I think if NCAA 11 came out, because compared to also NCAA 10, these games are both similar. They're both very good, but they also both felt like they needed a overhaul. And I think this is what the game is honestly missing. If it had got an overhaul and had it got another game for like the 11 cycle, I think we would have had the greatest college basketball game ever. Sadly, we'll kind of never know what an NCAA basketball 11 would have been like because of the lawsuit and because of the, you know, no more games for a while. So all in all, I think NCAA basketball 10, while it wasn't a perfect game, I think it kind of gives the perfect vibe of college basketball. Like the gameplay is good enough, but you really go there for the presentation. And like I said, if it had another year or two, maybe we would have gotten a really great college basketball game from EA Sports. But I also do think the fact that live never got to the point where live was considered a not even simulation game. I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but the fact that live never got its stride on the seventh generation of games, and the only the only good live game that people consider good on these consoles that people played was unfortunately the last engine for the college basketball series. I think held it back from its full potential. Now, I will be covering a video on College Hoops 2K8, but as I can say right now, college basketball games do deserve to be in the mainstream. It's unfortunate how corporate, not even greed necessarily, because I don't think it was greedy, but I think that inherently college basketball not getting the 2K9 release for 2K affected how EA perceived where the college games were going. And I think if we got a College Hoops 2K9 and a College Hoops 2K10, I think because we saw how good 2K10 and 2K11 was, I think we would have seen the same thing with NCAA Basketball 10 and NCAA 11. And maybe I'll make a mock-up of what I think the cover of NCAA Basketball 11 could have been. But as far as this video goes, I think I've so please leave your thoughts in the comment. Did you like NCAA Basketball 10? Did you think it was a better game than College Hoops 2K, or did you prefer College Hoops 2K8 over NCAA Basketball 10? It's been gaming with Jay, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.